evening and welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. To start off, sorry for yet another two-part episode, but the project took a few interesting turns. It had to be done. So, what is it I have here this time? That's about the same question I asked myself when Emil, an online friend from Germany, asked if I wanted to take in the Revox A720 here. After a bit of Google foo, I saw that it is a preamp with a built-in FM receiver. As such, it has proper phono inputs that I desperately need to connect and use my turntable more often. I never heard of the brand, but it seems to be an established piece of hi-fi equipment, in the mid-1970s at least. But since technology moves on, even in the 1980s, the unit was put away for shop use or similar purposes and has been quite neglected. When I unpacked it, I immediately noticed the missing knobs all around. They actually came in a bag, well, most of them. Opening up the unit reveals a nice, discreet construction. There are some chips around, it is a digital tuner after all, but the bulk of the work is done by transistors and op-amps. This is going to be fun! Taking apart all the PCBs and components. There is a strange collection of botches going on around the button board. Someone wired in a relay. Well, it needs to go for now, as it is soldered into the wire loom and some PCBs. I take pictures to eventually check what it does, but if it isn't supposed to be there, it will be gone. Also discovered that the tuning display was not, as I anticipated, early LEDs, but rather a set of Nixie tubes. Sweet! The volume and balance controls are sliding pots and have snapped off clean at the front panel. Likewise, one of the station preset knobs is busted off. All of the busted knobs are missing in the set. Oh I set down the heavy transformer on the frame, and when I moved that, the transformer fell off and busted the PCB with the fuses. The second Botch is most likely factory made. It has the company logo on it. The little board that is clamped to the frame also has a relay on it, and it connects to the button board. I'll check up on that for sure. The wiring loom was covered in some powdery white stuff. I guess some of the softening agents of the insulation came to the surface. A quick bath in the sink followed by some good drying took care of that. The input board has a set of RCA sockets, but they are hardly recognizable as metal anymore. I braced myself for some sanding, but I found replacements that are close enough in the footprint and physical design. So I just have to accept yellow and red instead of white and red. The usual capacitor replacement activity had me looking at the schematic, and I decided to also replace the tantalums, which were numerous and just about all of them in the signal path. Better safe than sorry. The power supply had some interesting heat marks around the rectifiers. I decided to replace the 800 mA version that were on it with some 2 amp versions, just in case. I also took the liberty to thoroughly wash the PCBs in the sink when the caps were removed. They were rather dusty. The tuning knobs, Both the manual and the station presets are, well, semi-digital only. They actually dial in the frequency by connecting a megahertz selection line and a 50 kilohertz selection line to ground, which means one giant matrix of switches, but no digital storage required at all. The dialed-in frequency is then translated to the Nixies and to the tuner circuit via a diode matrix. The switches on the front panel get some inside-out cleaning, of course. Needless to say that they had a nasty film on the contacts and resulted in many a dirty rag. Also up for a good cleaning and some grease, the volume and balance potentiometers. These are sliding ones and hard to come by as new, especially the volume one, which has a tab for the loudness circuit, not to mention that they are broken. So I drilled 2 holes to add wires for reinforcement when I glued in the new tab. The balance pot is also missing the dust cover, adding one that I cut out of a piece of foil. I also removed the patched-in relay and reconnected the appropriate wires. I didn't follow all of them, but it seems that a certain contact on the remote socket would switch over something in the FM audio section. Certainly not factory. There are two meters in the front panel, a signal and a tuning one. The tuning one was missing, so I ordered a replacement before even opening the device. I later found the meter on the inside, but it was broken. So yay! Pre-ordered spare parts. Now the A720 is a preamplifier and FM receiver only, which means that, apart from the headphone jacks, there is no means of getting audio out of it without an additional amplifier. A bit of research by New Einstein, thanks buddy, and myself turned up the model number A722, which was the companion amplifier for it. I started to scout auction sites for one. And here it is! It seems to have been modified with a volume knob. The original doesn't have such a control, as the volume is controlled in the preamp. While the amplifier is pretty nice and clean on the outside, it was extremely dirty on the inside. My nose is in clogged up winter mode, but I assume the yellowish sticky residue might have been smoke, which also might explain the headaches I got during cleaning. The recapping went fine, but during that operation I found that the trim pot on one of the channels was busted off. Too much scrubbing? Or was it already hanging on for life? Hard to say, but I replaced the pots with some from my stash. I had the right value, but the footprint was way off, so a bit of bending and extending was needed. Like with the preamp, I also cleaned the amplifier boards with copious amounts of soap. Yuck! The speaker turn-on relays are also in need of some cleaning. The replacement caps for the plus-minus 36 volt rails are about the same diameter as the originals, but their footprint is slightly different. A bit of bending makes them fit though. And this concludes part 1 of the Revox A72x series project. See you next time! I took the liberty to also thoroughly wash the sink in the PCBs. Yes, of course I washed the sink in the PCBs. Naturally.